Welcome, survivors, seekers, and thrivers. I'm your host, Shari Leigh Roberts, psychic medium, energy healer, and living proof that you can transform your pain into power. Each episode, we dive into trauma healing, developing your intuitive gifts, and reclaiming your life. Get ready for real stories, deep wisdom, and a little laughter along the way.
Hello and welcome to what will be one of my most enlightening episodes yet. My guest today is Hans Wilhelm, originally from Germany, but has been in America for years. He and I are going to talk about where God is in all of today's and yesterday's and future disasters and horrific situations. I have a story that I want to share before we talk about God in all of that. But before that, welcome, Hans. Thank you for being here. And it's been like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro for us to connect.
It's a thrill to be with. Thank you for inviting me, Shari. It's delighted to meet you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to pursuing healing. Then how you came to learn about Gabriella.
Well, I was always interested in spirituality when I was very, very young. I could not believe the religious teachings because it didn't make sense to me why some people were poor, some were rich, some were healthy. So it was only when I was sort of 20 years when I discovered Edgar Cayce and I understood for the first time that Christ also taught reincarnation. And that opened for me a very different perspective. Suddenly I understand why there are some people rich, poor, etc. It made suddenly life made so much sense to me. And I continued my search for spirituality with many different paths. And it was some 40 years ago when somebody introduced me to some material that came through a woman in Germany. Her name is Gabriele, or was Gabriele. She died 2 years ago. And for 50 years, she has been given amazing revelations about where we come from, why we are here, and where we are going. from a very, very, very high level of consciousness, which I don't think has any comparative material here on the earth from any other channeled material. I have been very impressed. I was lucky enough to travel with Gabriele through America when she gave some public appearances here. And she had now, there's a huge library in Germany which stores all her books. I made a recent little video. I started to make videos on the spiritual path where I share my understanding of spirituality. And I draw this out. Let me just show you, like visually, when you see how karma works. Here somebody hits somebody and he loads himself with karma, and then the karma gets stored in the Akashic records, and then in the stars where they eventually returns back. When you see that, as I illustrated, it becomes much clearer. I'm a visual person, and I like to see how things all connect, how all the dots connect. So I've been doing this for 15 years, and I recently made a video of how I met Gabriele, which is also on my YouTube channel. If you just punch in my name, Hans Wilhelm, you will find all my videos there. They're all for free. And they explain basically where we come from, why we are here, and where we are going. And I found this material absolute exhilarating, and it sounds true to me. I have no need to convince anybody. I only share my understanding. If it works for somebody, great. If it doesn't work, it's also great. There's nothing to join. There is no membership. There are no teachers. There are no churches. There is no organization to join. So this path is the material between you and God only, or Christ only. So it's a very personal path, and I've been walking on this path. I've been a student of this path for 40 years or more, and it has made a major change in my life to understand why people react the way they are, how I react to situations, and it helps me to cope with life much better when I understood that everything has a purpose and there are no coincidences. Everything is here to help us. As Byron Katie says, everything happens to us, for us, and not to us.
What led you to seeking out higher understanding and healing?
Well, it was partly because the traditional religions, the Christian religion in which I grew up, just didn't give the answer. Why was my neighbor sick? And that was rich and poor? Why was it power? Why was if there's a loving God, why isn't then everybody has an equal kind of life? Why is there so much misery and so much joy and richness for others? It doesn't make sense. And the churches couldn't explain it. Neither could they really give a clear answer to where we come from and where we are going. That is very mushy in the Bible and in the thing. They're just only vague things. So therefore, I wanted to have the answers to these questions. Where do I come from? Why am I here? And where am I going? And over the years, I think I've found very clear answer for myself to these questions.
And for millions of others, before we delve into where God is in all of that, I want to share a story which, to me, exemplifies people in this realm, their lack of understanding. Okay, I have been called upon by the divine to cross over souls and it has progressed into me needing to go into different timelines. And in these timelines, there are always a large group of souls who have died and are connected to this realm because they don't know how to move on. My job is to explain why and what happened and why it's time to move on. I was telling a friend in this realm about one of my journeys into the past and what I saw, which, if you're in this reality, was horrific. The way these people died was horrible. Yet, for me, in another realm, looking at it, I didn't have the PTSD. I understood that they were all in the presence of God, but living the experience, they came here to live. And my friend on the other hand said, no, there is no way that someone agreed to come here to experience that horror. She then asked, how are you? Are you okay? And I thought, I couldn't answer her because to tell her that I witnessed that horror in God's light and understanding me from being traumatized in this life, So, can you now, from this, share what you so beautifully demonstrate in your video about where God is in these horrific times?
Well, where God is, it's a tough one, yeah. Well, excuse me, I'm happy to share my understanding. I think it's very interesting what you say about the realms where a lot of souls find themselves who have died and have not even realized that they are dead. And that's
Yeah.
the big problem. They cling to the world, they only know the world, they never imagined there would be life after death. For them, that is just a gray fog and non-existing. And it's very, very difficult to speak, to communicate with these souls because they are very fixed. A lot of them are atheists who believe there can't be anything after this. My consciousness will be over, I'm dead. So to tell them otherwise will take time, but eventually everybody, every soul will eventually see the light, so to speak, and will understand when they become too long in this kind of isolating situation that they may somehow have some inter-perspective and maybe open to teachings which usually come from spirit beings, from other spiritual guides who help them and always assist them. So that is quite a common thing of this. Where is God is a question. Well, my understanding is God, spirit is everything and everywhere. Everything that we see, what we touch around us is God's spirit. What is three-dimensional, like the computer thing and whatever I see at my share and so on, this is crystallized God energy. We can also call it ether, light ether. Everything is light ether, everything is God, spirit. And the crystallization of this light ether is what we call the three-dimensional world. So everything that we see contains the Spirit of God. Not only does it contain the Spirit of God, in the smallest particle in this world is the entire creation, the entire universe, the all in the all. It's like in the hologram. Everything contains everything. So God in itself and the entire universe is in everything. That's why Christ said, the kingdom of God is in you. The entire creation is in us. God is in us. There's a God creator God, which is not the same like the God spirit, but the creator God is there, guides us, helps us, and supports us. And all this God energy, this love energy wants us to do is to wake up from the misery that we have created out of our selfishness, because we have separated us from the absolute reality, which is love, which is peace, which is harmony, which is unity. And we have fallen, like in the fall in the Bible, we know the fall of angels, into the very low realm of three-dimensionality, which is our 3D world. And our goal is now to return back to where we came. Everything is here to serve us to come home. So yes, we will encounter a lot of horrors, a lot of negative things, but these things we have all created ourselves. It's very difficult for us to imagine that I should once have been a torturer, a killer, a murderer, a warrior, etc. But considering that we may have had hundreds or even thousands of past lifetimes, it is quite likely that in some of these lifetimes we were able to do, we're doing some horrible stuff. Now, the karma coming back to us is not punishment. It is a teaching tool for us to understand that the harm we inflict on others is just not the right thing to, the right way to go. So we are getting the experiencing the harm that we have put to others. In other words, whenever we are sick, whenever we have a blow of fate, whenever something horrible happens, it is an outflowing of our karma. In a way, it is a release. It's we becoming free of whatever it is. If we see it from that perspective, it's much easier to carry. Did this answer your question, Shari?
Yes, definitely. Talk more about how we as souls come here with set things that we need to learn and experience to grow. You talked about karma, or did I
Yeah.
fuck that up?
No,
You
no, yes.
okay? Okay,
It is my
okay.
understanding before everybody comes to Earth, we all have a life preview. We see what is most likely going to happen in our life, a very rough outline. Where we may see the accident waiting for us, or maybe the person we are going to marry, the children we may have, also some negative and positive things, but in a rough outline. It's like rocks in a riverbed, and it's not up to us how to swim around these rocks. We always have the free will. We can see it as an obstacle or an opportunity. So we see it before we incarnate. We see even the most horrible things which may come in this lifetime towards us. But we agree to these lifetimes for the simple reasons, because we understand that in this very short time of less than 30,000 days, which is an average lifetime, we can clear up so much karma, we can become so free that in a perspective from a spiritual realm where we usually reside, this is a very short visit, a very short dipping into this lifetime. And therefore we agree to it, we go through it, and we accept it. So nobody is here against their own free will. Now, when we are here on Earth, we usually forget that we have agreed to all this horrible stuff or negative stuff which we encounter.
Yeah.
But in that negative stuff, can only exist because, as we said earlier, it also contains the God Spirit. Nothing can exist which does not carry the God Spirit. It is like the silver lining around a cloud. If we focus on the positive aspect of a situation, of an illness, of whatever comes to us, we gain strength and we can cope and we can overcome it and we can heal. So our goal is to find God or Spirit in every situation and also in every person we meet, etc. Because that's where we find our healing very fast. So nobody is here against their own free will, even if many people believe so because they have a difficult life. And we do not only come to clear up our karma, we also come here sometimes to learn certain qualities like loving, like caring, compassion. And for that, we need certain kind of situations which challenge us. I give an example of a pre-birth where somebody wants to become more loving. And when we want to become more loving, it wouldn't help us to incarnate in a very loving family. On the contrary, we would need a very unloving, a cold family, so that we are feeling so deprived of love that we develop our love muscle and become loving. So all these negative aspects in our life are there to help us to grow. And then also some people come to just serve others, to really help others. Like for instance, somebody who does for handicapped people who help somebody to serve, etc. It's the gift of being able to serve, because the highest form of love is service. And that's what we eventually will all grow to eventually on our various paths. So there are many, many reasons why souls incarnate to here, to help others, to assist others, to grow, to become, in most cases, it is to overcome our karma. It's a very, very short visit, our earthly life. It's very, very, very short. And therefore it is a gift. Now I say it's a gift because there are more souls that want to incarnate to this planet Earth than there are physical bodies. This is a real highly desired realm in which we are here on planet Earth.
Wow.
And let us become aware of it, that we are the lucky ones to be here and to do whatever we have to do here.
A lot of people would disagree, me included, early on, that why am I here? This sucks. This is horrible. I mean, awful. Now I know, being on the other side, why I came and why this is my last human incarnate. Do you feel this is your last human experience?
I don't know, Shari. It's a good question. I see differently. I understand fully that people say, this is the last time. I don't want to come back. I don't want to come back. But I believe, but yes, for some people who says, this must be my last one, a lot of people say that. Not you, but a lot of people say, I don't want to come back. But I believe when you progress in the love vibration, you may want to return back to help other people. Not for your own sake, but to help other people. So I leave it open whether or not I want to come back and have another lifetime. If that serves other people, I may be open to it. So I can't say this is my last lifetime. Would be nice to know I don't have to do it anymore and can do it from somewhere. But I don't know what happens tomorrow, and I definitely don't know what happens when I leave this earth.
Yeah. I have come to understand that this incarnation has been about learning and accepting unconditional love. That's it. Giving it, accepting it. Worked through a lot of minutia and feel this is it. And that's what I am here now in my latter short years to do. Where are you now in your journey?
Oh, what a question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know whether my journey, maybe I've fallen deeply.
What?
I'll probably tell you when I'm on the other side where I've been. At the moment, I don't know. I'm struggling every day like everybody else.
Why? Why are you struggling? Do you meditate, or how is it that you invite Gabrielle's teachings, are you living it or just teaching it?
Good question. I definitely try to live it. And through my teachings, I'm not really teaching it, I'm drawing it and what I discover, and I share what I discover with others if it helps them. But the thing is, it's a very slow kind of progress. We have got so many old programs from previous lifetimes. So to let go of it. So yes, I try every day to do it. But the problem is that we may know so much and we have studied books and know so much, but when suddenly something hits the fan, the first few instances, we forget all the stuff we learned. So sometimes, and we have to catch ourselves, but the time between this shock and standing up again becomes shorter and shorter. I think that's where you can measure some progress. How long does a blow of fate or a negative instance actually affect me? And I think there I can honestly say it has happened very quickly that I now get faster and faster, catch myself, and get out of the things where in the past I would have stayed in for days sometimes in a negative phase. So that, I think, is a typical way of how I can measure my own progress, that I'm much faster in responding instead of reacting.
That is all of ours. Gauge to forward movement. Oh, I love that. Would you share something that has happened to you recently that triggered you? Where you would have, or maybe okay, go.
Yesterday, it looked like our refrigerator was dying. Very simple. So it's a very expensive, huge refrigerator, and there are many $1,000s. It says, so my first reaction, damn it, and so on, etc. It was really young, but it was really the sort of a typical reaction. I don't spend this money, but then I remembered it says, the fullness of God is within me. The fullness of God is within me. And the moment I responded that actually the whole universe is in me. I'm the richest person in the world, like everybody else. And suddenly this kind of fear which comes from my ego disappeared because I realized again who I was. So that was just since you mentioned, I'm sure there are better examples, but this just came recently, yesterday, when I suddenly says, oh my gosh, I didn't like the idea that I had to replace a refrigerator. And this morning the refrigerator worked fine, so we can forget about that one. So I gave it over to God and he settled it for me. But the initial fear of the fear of the ego was overcome by a statement, I am the fullness of God. I am the fullness of God. And feeling that as well, not only from the head, but also feeling it, knowing it. I think that's the word, not believing it, knowing it, which I do because of having done so many exercises, etc., that as a deep knowing in me, it suddenly calmed me down instantly and let me deal with the situation much better.
Do you feel like you put yourself into a different reality where, okay, the refrigerator is broken, and then you thought about it and elevated your energy to another reality where everything was copacetic.
It's a good point. I didn't see it as clearly, but basically that's true. When I'm in my small little ego, unfortunately, I have to pay the money. If I think, then I'm very small in my small little world, ego world. But the moment I realize that I am the fullness of God, I am in a much higher frequency. You call it reality. I may call it frequency because nothing
Yes,
actually changes.
it is.
I am a
Yes,
different frequency. And from that higher frequency, which incorporates everything, it's much easier for me to deal with the misfortunes of the day. That I do
yes,
consciously, and we all can do that when we remember who we are. We are these powerful, powerful beings, and we forget that so easily. And nobody is getting more than they can handle, for the simple reason that we all have agreed to it prior our birth. So all these
yes,
things which we are facing are opportunities for us to grow and to become more loving and clearing up our mess.
yes, yes. I recently spent time with a long time friend, and she is vibrating much lower than I am. And in the past, I would have just been like, whoo, I'm out. I don't want to do this. But I love her so much and felt I needed to understand where she was coming from. Not to love her more, but to validate why I'm no longer there. You know? Do you, in your journey of enlightenment and increasing your energetic vibration, find that people who you once connected with, you no longer do.
Not consciously, Shari, I'm sure, but subconsciously it surely has happened. It's not that I don't connect with them. They may find me too weird. They may find out about my videos.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is not for me. So they
yeah,
may remove themselves, and that's fine. I think that's a natural way as we develop. We always separate automatically. We don't have to do much to it. We don't have to say no to a friendship. If we are no longer matchable vibrationally, that will separate, and that's okay because there's nothing wrong. We don't have to hold on to everybody in life whom we have ever met. It is absolutely okay to go their own way because it's a short visit here. As long as we live in love and kindness, not as long as I've got a negative things about a person or
right, right.
unresolved issue, that needs to be resolved. but it is merely a friendship, an acquaintance which slowly withers away. Oh yeah, I have met many people who I hardly remember the names anymore, and they probably don't remember my name as well. And that's okay, because
Yeah.
that's not the focus of our life. At the moment, there are other people at the moment with whom I need to interact. And that's more important. So we can't interact with everybody we have met in our life.
Right. Right. What in closing would you like to say or impart on people who will hear you in this podcast?
Well, I think we all go sometimes through difficult times, and I just would like us to remember of who we are. We are this incredible, powerful star being, a child of God, which we so easily forget, and that's where we should identify with, not with our small little ego. And sometimes the best way, how I found it helps me through gratitude, to be grateful for whatever comes to my mind, for my computer, for my chair I'm sitting on, for what the nose in my face, whatever it is. We are 1,001 things. The gratefulness, and I made an interesting video of how gratefulness works, is a thing which chemically changes our whole being in our mind, in our brain, and makes us feel far better than we were before. So be grateful, feel gratefulness. And if we have a person, let's not think, oh, I'm grateful for Joe. It says, these are 5 things why I am grateful for Joe. List 5 things in your mind. That is really the healing element. And the final thing is also consider anybody with whom we still have a grudge. Is there still something we need to forgive? And if we and if we have done somebody wrong, ask for forgiveness. I know it's not easy to do, but this is our opportunity here in this lifetime. It is not easy to get forgiveness in the spiritual realm, for the simple reason as the person we have hurt may not be in the same frequency, in the same group in the spiritual world where we will be eventually, maybe higher, maybe lower, but there may be no interaction anymore possible at that time. So as long as this grudge continues, it will bind us together and will cause more incarnations. So use any situation. If we have to forgive somebody or asking for forgiveness, we forgive somebody and we ask for forgiveness. I think that's the most important thing in our life, because forgiveness is the one way how through our free will we can dissolve our karma. I think these are the gratitude, forgiveness, and being grateful that we are alive and who we are. Remember of who we are. And if anybody has any more questions, please go to my videos on lifeexplained.com or punch in my name, Hans Wilhelm, on YouTube, and you will find the channel right away.
I will put all of your info into tomorrow's episode description. Thank you, Hans. And I know it was difficult to get this together, but I would love to have you back if you're willing and available.
I'm sure we can find another each time. Yes.
Okay.
Pleasure. Thank you, Shari.
Thank you.
Oh,
you are awesome. Mwah.
Thank you.
Carry on, dear man.
Thanks so much, Shari.
Thank you for listening. If today's conversation resonated with you and you're ready to explore your own healing journey or intuitive gifts, I'd love to work with you. I offer psychic medium readings, energy healing sessions, and intuitive development guidance at shariroberts.org. And if you're not quite ready for a session, but want to be a part of the conversation in a supportive community, join my private Facebook group. The link is in the show notes. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. This is Shari Leigh Roberts. Until next time, remember, you're never alone.